Hi, we're live. We are live. Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Gbenga. I'm really happy to have you on the show today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining this show. If you don't already know, my name is Adiola Fayon. I'm the host of Keep It Real with Adiola. And today I'm so excited to talk about work authorization in the US for international students to be able to work on and off campus. And I'm hoping that international students will join us, their parents, and prospective international students. So if you planning on working in the US, this is an opportunity that did not exist when some of us were international students. So you do not want to miss out. Information is very powerful, right? So I'm so excited today to have the founder, the chief executive director of Nigerian Center in Washington, D.C., Mr. Gbenga Ogunjimi, joining me today to talk about this opportunity for international students. Mr. Gbenga, uh, thank you so much for joining me. First of all, let's start out by you talking to us just a little bit about the Nigerian Center so that people would know why the Nigerian Center has been fighting for international students. So please tell us about the Nigerian Center just a little bit.
Thank you very much, Adiola, for the opportunity to be here. As it was said, I'm the director of the Nigerian Center. The Nigerian Center is the very first immigrant community center for Nigerian Americans and pretty much the greater African immigrants in the United States. It is very typical. Countries in the United States would have a community center. Some call it a welcoming center that really help them to navigate living in a new country. And we opened our doors 3 years ago in Washington, D.C., and we started with an immigration legal aid program. And quickly, we started to see a lot of international students come to the center to get help with scholarship, switching their F1 visa to green cards, getting assistance, tuition assistance. And then that situation um, became more problematic given the status of the economy on the continent, in the country, and folks were losing both scholarship, financial assistance, and F1 status. So the Nigerian Center led an advocacy effort and petitioning the Biden administration to designate Nigeria for SSR, which is Special Student Relief. That gives the following benefit. It provides employment authorization that is not restricted to international students. It allows them, if necessary, to reduce their course load on campus, to take employment off campus, and pretty much to protect their F1 status. And we just want to talk about that opportunity here today.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. You literally petitioned the USCIS on behalf of Nigerian students, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, we did that. There are two sets of petition. The very first one is called TPS, which is temporary protected status. We got over 100 organizations, including Amnesty International, several faith-based groups, including Redeemed Churches, Lutheran Services, Catholic, to based on the armed conflict in northern Nigeria and some tension in other parts of the country. So whenever a country is going through any form of conflict, the DHS, which is the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, has the power to designate such a country for immigration benefit. A derivative of that benefit of TPS is SSR, which is more specific to student. So we led another advocacy effort with 50 organizations petitioning the administration to give this designation. The good news is, while that designation is still being processed, they got back to us and they gave us specific steps. International students in America from Nigeria or other affected countries can now get those benefits.
This is wonderful. Okay. Some people may be wondering, are we talking about the Nigerian embassy? No, 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 no. This is not the Nigerian. Is this something that the Nigerian embassy could actually do for its citizens?
um, well, we are
But they're
not.
not. It's not. This is not the Nigerian embassy. Let's not go there. This
Okay.
is not the Nigerian, but this is the Nigerian Center in DC. It's a non-profit, and all they do is look out for Nigerians in America pretty much fight for us, and right, and they've been fighting for Nigerian students in America. Okay, sir. So I heard that you have some good news for us. Those of us that are international students, I mean, let me say those who are international students or their parents or prospective international students, you have some good news for us. Please share the good news with us.
Well, the good news we have is that as a result of our advocacy efforts with the administration, the response we got back is that international students from Nigeria and any other country, but we are more particular about Nigeria, are able to, on a individual case-by-case basis, proceed with their own application. You don't have to wait to Congress or DHS designate Nigeria for TPS or SSL. And what you will be able to do is to request off-campus work authorization. As you know, as an international student, you are only eligible to have limited work opportunity that is bound to your academic campus and that is restricted in hours. In this case, you can get a full employment authorization card um, based on the economic hardship in Nigeria. So let's put this in perspective. If you're a sponsor or your parents sponsored you from Nigeria to come to the United States to pursue your higher education, and when they make that financial commitment, the exchange rate to the dollar was say $1 to say 500 naira. I think now it's about 1,600 naira, 1,600 or 500. So it has quadrupled the financial projection and financial budgeting they have made for your tuition. That puts the family in economic hardship as well. So, based on economic hardship, individuals can petition now, can actually apply and request for off campus work authorization to be able to support their tuition in campus. In addition, if it's necessary, they can also request for reduced course load. If they forfeited their scholarship in the past, um, and even if it becomes necessary, they can even put the F1 status on hold altogether based on economic hardship, and they will not have to fear deportation or jeopardizing that status. I think that is the update we have, and I'll be happy to go into the step-by-step process questions
That's
that
my
may.
next question. How can they do this? Like, where can they apply? How long will it take? Things like that. And what do they need to apply? Do their parents need to demonstrate anything from Nigeria?
Yes. So, and as I proceed with this, I just want to set some caveat and some disclaimers. I am not an immigration attorney. I am just the leader of this advocacy effort. I lead the coalition petitioning the administration. At the Nigerian Center and the coalition, there are several attorneys, human rights organizations, and legal pro bono services connected to this work. So that said, this process outlined to go through this is so first and foremost, let's talk about eligibility. Who is eligible to apply for off-campus work authorization as an international student? The very first thing is you want to establish that you've been an international student for more than 1 year. Um, and that is not enough. You also have to demonstrate that you are in good standing as far as your coursework is concerned. You're not on probation. You are not having any threats to jeopardize your education because of low grades and things like that. Um, you also have to establish that the conditions of your financial sponsors have changed, and you have to provide supporting documents to back that up. Now, the support we will provide you at the Nigerian Center is the coalition has done an extensive research um, about the economic and country conditions in Nigeria, based on humanitarian conditions and based on financial conditions. This report is supported by United States State Department report on Nigeria, Amnesty International report on Nigeria, and several human rights groups. So at the Nigerian Center, we are able to provide you the report about the current country conditions on Nigeria. Now, you can now supplement that with the specific financial situation of your sponsors. And as I mentioned, this is a blanket challenge for every single one in Nigeria because the currency in itself is undergoing massive devaluation. And because of that, it affects financial forecast projection your sponsor may have made. That makes a strong case for you to be able to do that. Um, you also need to demonstrate that you are not successful to get on-campus work opportunities, which is limited in the first instance. So based on this, you would approach your DSO, your international student office, and they'll provide you a 120. They'll provide you the basis for you to petition with USCIS. Now, there is the financial fee component. You have to pay for work authorization um, in the United States, part of your USCIS application fees. Now, you are able to request fee waiver and say that because of this financial hardship, you are not able to afford to pay that. And that combinations is pretty much all you need to receive your work authorization. Is the initial one is for 1 year and is renewable up to 3 years.
Thank you so much. So, they need to make sure that they get in touch with your office for pro bono service, right? So that they can have the lawyers that could help them in filing this.
Well, before we say, you can always reach out to the Nigerian Center for Legal Pro Bono Services. But for this particular piece of information, you need to start with your international student office to establish eligibility. They are
Okay.
pretty much the one that will clear you to proceed to provide this application. We are able to provide you additional supporting documents. The application is something you can file yourself. You can receive support from the International Student Office to file this application yourself. Um, if you are in the Washington, D.C. area, we operate a walk-in free legal aid service. You can walk in anytime. If you're not in the DMV area, you can do that service virtual. There is a small fee of $55 to that for virtual services, but the in-person is free. But this is something you can do yourself, but you will start that process by establishing eligibility at the International Student Office of your university.
You have to have been a student for 1 year. You have to be in good standing, be doing well in your school, and you should be able to demonstrate the financial restraints and the application fee for work authorization. If you cannot afford it, you can let them know I cannot afford it. You also need to be able to demonstrate that you couldn't get an off-campus job. So, and then you go to your international office department at your school. Just in case some schools, some international departments are not aware of this, this is something that they can let them know. How can they prove to them that this is legit? The USCIS is the one authorizing this. Is there a link to something from USCIS that they can present to their international student office?
Yes. So it's pretty much on the USCIS website, and every DSO international student should be aware of this because they also have trainings with the USCIS and State Department for this. Now, another very easy way to point them to this in the employment authorization application form, I believe it's form 756. There is a section there that says the category of the work authorization you are applying for and what is this based off. So there's a section there that is based on financial hardship. Now, employment authorization is often linked to a benefit of an immigration application, whether it is spousal or humanitarian or employment. In this case, it's based off your student status, but you now currently have economic hardship. The supporting documents to be able to do that will be provided to you from your school to be able to do that. So you have to work with your school to be able to get that benefit.
Okay, first of all, for those asking for his website in the comment section, it's literally beneath his name. If you look under his name, you will see he wrote nigeriancenter.org. So please, you can go on that website. Gracie, you can go on that website. Um, the reason I'm asking, I asked that my last question is the same thing that this person wrote, that there are some international offices that may not reveal this information to some of their international students. And then when you approach them, they may play ignorance. So that's why I was also asking that question. Now, I've been seeing questions. Okay, this is one of them. Uh, Sorry, it's disappearing. Okay. Um, does this information also hold for Cameroonians? So I've been seeing people from other countries asking, so how many countries and do you have, if you can recollect, just to name a few countries that can take advantage of this? Because like you said at the beginning, it's not just Nigerians.
Well, virtually any international, national, or student can take advantage of this based on their countries. And
Nice.
as I mentioned, some countries specifically have designation. One of those countries is the last questions from Cameroon. Cameroon already have a DHS, United States designation for TPS, temporary protected status. As I mentioned, SSR, which is what this umbrella theme for this conversation, is a derivative of TPS. So Cameroon has TPS. So because of that, it should be a lot easier if your country is designated. Now, if your country is that, so the way that works is once a country is designated, it removes the responsibility from you to establish proof of evidence because the United States already said there's a blanket protection for everyone in that country. So if you're from Cameroon, Cameroon has TPS, Sudan has TPS, Ethiopia has TPS. Um, those are three countries I know in Africa. South Sudan has TPS. Um, Liberia has what is called DED. So it's a family of three parts: TPS, DD, and SSR. So once you have those designation, you can proceed with your individual application. If you don't, then it's helpful if there is a systemic financial situation going on in your country, which Nigeria qualifies for. If that is not the case, your own financial sponsor would have to demonstrate that they are going through financial hardship so they cannot continue to sponsor you going forward.
And you've already petitioned for Nigeria to also have TPS. We're still waiting for that, but they're saying that Nigerian students can start applying on a case by case basis. For
Yes.
okay, so
And one last thing about the Nigerian one. So when you come to the Nigerian Center, send us an email or call the office or find us on social media. We can provide you the copy of the research we've done, the letter we submitted, and also the official response from the U.S. government. And you can
what's your
attach.
what's what's the email address of the Nigerian Center?
It's info@nigeriancenter.org.
Okay. I'm gonna put that on the screen.
So we can provide you those documents. Our email is info@nigeriancenter.org. Um,
Okay. So I'm putting that on the screen so that if anybody would like to email them, info@nigeriancenter.org. Um, so TPS, by the way, is temporary protected status. And that is a status that allows anybody from countries who have temporary protected status, they can live and work in the US um, legally. So you can work unlimited number of hours on and off campus. Um, I do have a few other questions. Someone was asking about, you had mentioned that they can also put their F1 status on hold.
yes. So if you establish extraordinary conditions, family emergency, you know, some kind of extenuating circumstance, death of a sponsor, death of, terminal or some kind of medical conditions or very some form of severe hardship, and you can put your F1 status on hold. Pretty much, how for those of us who already graduated and while we're in school, you can tell your course advisor, like, this semester is a challenging one for me. I just had a baby. I just got fired from my other job. I just want to put this on hold, and I'll be able to resume some other time. Now, typically, international students have limitations to do so. But for the F1, with this particular opportunity, you are now able to do so as well. So if the needs warrant that, you can put your F1 status on hold, your education on hold, and not jeopardize your forfeit your F1 status.
For how long can they do that for?
I don't know how long is it. I don't know if it's specific to school by school, but you have to ask with the school. Some schools have how long you can do so for.
Okay. Someone else is also asking about the spouse. I'd like to ask if an F2 dependent could get the opportunity to work to support their F1 spouse who is the student.
Um, I think so. I think so. I know in this case the primary beneficiary is the student itself. But if you currently have a dependent on your F1 visa, they may be able to qualify for that benefit as well.
Okay.
You being the lead, because you are the one that is leading the application. So probably that spouse would already have some form of dependent status under your F1. In that case, that I don't see any reason why that should not be the case.
Okay. And this person is asking, what about F1 students who have assistantship, but it's below the required living expenses of where they live?
Oh, that's a great question, Timothy. And I just also wanted to mention that, as I mentioned, you need to demonstrate that you have exhausted every attempt to secure campus employment. And I think the very start point is to kind of exhaust the opportunity on campus. Another thing that folks may not have taken advantage of is economic hardship um, also allows you to petition your school to make you eligible for in-state tuition
In state.
um, assistance or opportunity. Um, so if your current opportunity is not still sufficient, then you'll be eligible for that. Then your DSO um, will be able to state that in the supporting application from your school that you currently have one, but based on your financial needs, it's not sufficient. So you'll be eligible for that.
That's awesome. This person is asking if this opportunity is only available for international students in the US. Hello?
Oh, no, 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 I just thought the question was the title of the event was self-explanatory. Um, I'm sorry, but yes, it is only for international students in the United States. Yeah.
Okay. And this person is asking if we have your a branch of your office in, you know, I guess maybe they're asking for people from other countries.
Oh,
I
that
guess
is.
you would
I see.
a branch of your office in other countries. So this is probably a Nigerian abroad, but not in the US, that is
Mm,
looking for. I mean, I am of the opinion that it is the Nigerian house, the Nigerian embassy, the Nigerian consulate that should, provide all this assistance to Nigerians, but they're not doing it. We're not here to say that they failed, but Mr. Gbenga saw a gap, so that there's the need for um, Nigerians to be able to access the help that they need when they are abroad. And if the embassy is not doing it, that's why he started this nonprofits to provide support to Nigerians. Now, Mr. Gbenga, do you know if there are other people doing what you're doing in some other parts of the world for Nigerians in those parts of the world?
Well, they are non-Nigerian specific legal aid organizations in many countries. I know in the United States, there is the Lutheran Services, there's CASA, there is Lutheran Catholic Charities. Um, there are several legal aid programs, and other countries too. They may be called the Latino Center, the Ethiopian Center, the Indian Center. Majority of these centers are funded by the U.S. government. And if they are funded by the U.S. government, they cannot discriminate based on country of origin. You have to serve everyone. But we didn't have Nigerian specific one in the United States, and that was, as our host was saying, the gap that we saw and this we're trying to fill. Um, Also, another benefit, while some of folks may why centers like ours is important, is a cultural competency that is often missing when all the community is trying to serve us. I really don't understand the peculiarities of what we're dealing with, where we're coming from, the barriers we may have. So we're able to help articulate that to the administration. And it's not limited to Nigerians. It's a standard practice in all other several other groups. As far as Nigerian centers overseas for Nigerians, I don't know. Nigerians have been in the United States forever, and our center is the very first one that I know of that is catered to serving Nigerians. Um, I should say that our work is, for the most part, focused on Nigerians in the United States. We do policy work that sometimes may affect the relationship between Nigeria and the United States, but we don't do international development work for Nigerians outside of the United States. Now, if they are family-based immigration, they may have family members in Nigeria they're trying to support. Our clients will be those in the United States. We're trying to bring their international family over here. Um, yeah, so we kind of focused our work within the United States.
I think this would be a good opportunity for you to tell us more about the Nigerian Center. So, besides that, you help international students. Do you mind just mentioning a little bit more of the other services that you render at the Nigerian Center?
Yes. So the core of what we're known for is immigration in general. And we do have a walk-in immigration clinic. We call it a legal aid clinic in Washington, D.C., that is both accessible um, through walk-in and virtual services. And that immigration pretty much covers every spectrum of immigration, from family based to employment based to humanitarian based to juvenile visas, uh, minors, asylum, um, employer based, we EB 1 to 5. We pretty much cover all the whole spectrum of immigration. We have pro bono attorneys that serve folks for free. There's an organization in the United States called NALA, Nigerian American Lawyers Association. They also provide pro bono services to the center and help see folks. We do not charge for our services, are free. There's no any obligation to work with our lawyers. Um, we just want to provide you a pathway forward and provide you the information you need. We have lawyers that can represent you, but there's no obligation to work with that. As a matter of fact, we'll provide you multiple opinions from other lawyers who will come to the center. Um, Now, when we saw that um, that service was a major need for us, hence the reason we elevated it to policy, because policy pretty much affects everything. That's the reason why we are pushing for the policy work. In addition to the immigration services, we also have financial programs. Nigerian Center is an IRS accredited center. The IRS designated Nigerian Center to serve the immigrant community. So every tax filing, you are able to file your taxes for free at the Nigerian Center at no cost to you. Um, if you meet the income eligibility for that, you can do it in person and you can do it virtual. If you go to a website on the programs, you will find that service there. We have a micro loan program that provides capital for folks to start a business. We start with about $5,000. The money is not so much. The real reason we give that loan is for credit building purposes, because in Nigeria we don't have credit. And when immigrants come to America, it takes them years before they have their first credit card. So you are able to get that credit the very first day you come to America, um, if you have any form of ID, including your Nigerian passport. And we would help you report that to the credit agencies to help you build credit. And by the third to the 6 months, you don't need the center anymore. If you're responsible, you now have a credit line, and you can use that to buy a house, buy a car, start a business, and move on. Um, we have cultural and language programs for those who are first, second, third generation Nigerians, Americans, to come to the center to learn Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. And we do cultural education for Americans who want to reclaim their Nigerian heritage.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's a lot. And you do all of this for free.
Our service, some of our service, majority of our services are free. The language classes are paid programs. Um, the immigration is free. The credit building loan services are free programs. The immigration, the only time we charge when it doesn't go to us, it goes directly to the lawyers, is the virtual services for $55 for those who are not able to come into the center. But it's a free program. We're a non-profit organization. We're not open to get profit from this. So it's a pro bono service.
So they are not a business, they are a non-profit. There's a huge difference. And I just want to remind everyone one more time that their website is written right beneath his name, nigeriancenter.org. You can see all the services that they render on their website. I have a few questions and I'm going to go over them quickly. There has been a number of questions about, the whole 1 year thing. This person is saying, what of students that haven't used up to 1 year in the US? That's Toby, and Deeper Christian Life Ministry is saying, is there a reason why the student has to be 1 year in the country? What if some terms or semesters have been completed and the student is in good standing, but it's not yet 1 year? Um,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
please let me quickly answer those two questions because so I don't lose them when it's a lot of them. The reason for this, keep in mind, when you applied for your F1 status, you told the Nigerian embassy that you had a sponsor, and you have to establish that the financial conditions of your sponsor have changed. So there's a presumption that you'll be able to cover your tuition. And now you're suddenly coming around and say that is no longer the case. So we need time for that to actually leave out what you said you were going to the States to apply for. Um, and it has to be 1 year. Now, if it's not 1 year, I would say still contact your international student office and explain your case to them. Let them know that Nigerian has an active TPS SSR campaign that have a systemic impact on every Nigerian on the economy. Could they make an exception for you? So immigration is a case by case basis. The reasons, the evidence is pretty strong. Nigerians have undergone significant currency devaluation, and it's a global knowledge. So they may be able to make that exception.
Okay, and this is also in line with the 1 year issue. We'll put in the F1s that are on hold too can only be done in the second year of study. So do they also need to wait for 1 year if they're trying to put their F1 status on hold?
Sally, I don't have the answer to that question, particularly F1 on hold status. Please contact your schools. They all have different policies regarding putting your status on hold, your education on hold. Please contact them to do so. Usually, when you get admission, there's a big document that lays out the procedure and processes for that institution. They will spell all these things out. Um, but but our point is, this is not usually something international students can take advantage of. Then now they may be able to take advantage of this, but please contact your school for that.
Okay. So I'm just going to, this person is saying, go to the appropriate website, get a requirement, file it yourself. So, Kristen, Maybe you joined us late because he had said it over and over that this is something that you should do by yourself. Nobody has mentioned an agent since we started having this conversation. He said go to your international students office. First of all, you have to have been a student for a year. You have to be in good standing academically, and you need to go to your international students office to tell them about this, and they will walk you through how to file your personal petition for the work authorization. So nobody has mentioned an agent. I just wanted to clarify that because when I saw that in the comments, the only reason that you need to contact their office is if you need more evidence to convince them that there is financial hardship in Nigeria. They've done extensive research, which they are willing to provide to you free of charge for you to add to your petition to the USCIS that this is a well researched document that shows the extent of financial constraints in the country. So it's not just affecting me, it's affecting a lot of people. So that's when you contact them. Also, if you feel like you need a lawyer pro bono, which they are willing to offer, a service they're willing to offer for you for free, unless you're doing it online, $55. Besides that, nobody has said anything about an agent. Okay, so someone wants to know if they can volunteer for your organization. They said you have it on your website that you have volunteering opportunities. Can F1 students in the US assist in any way?
Oh, thank you for that, Timothy. That's a great question. Yes, we are always accepting volunteer application. We have a list of open positions on the website. Please submit a cover letter. Be specific the position you want. There's several positions there, and yes, we are able to accept F1 student, and we have both remote and uh, in-person office opportunities at the Nigerian Center. Just on top of my head right now, taxes are coming. If you want to become an intake specialist to help people take their information to help them file taxes, there are opportunities for that. And this particular opportunity, it might be interesting for international students. As part of volunteering for a tax program, you get certified by the IRS, and is part of the module CFAs, they call them, the Certified Tax Professionals, CPAs. Part of the modules, you're able to get certified for free at the IRS. Um, and you can actually claim that for continuing education. And that also adds to your overall qualifications. And you can actually file taxes. You don't have to have a finance major to do so. It's open to students, it's open to everyone. We do have opportunities, those who are native language, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa language speakers, to become teaching assistants. You can also volunteer to do so. Um, I can think of our social media, communications. If you're in policy work, we do a lot of policy advocacy work. There are opportunities for policy work as well. So all the positions are listed on the website. Please submit a full application. Um, just one line, I'm interested in volunteering, is not an application. A cover letter, be specific the position you're applying for, um, and you can send that through info, or you can just go through the website with the process.
And don't forget, it's a volunteering position. It's not a paid position, so please keep that in mind. So this person, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember all the visa types that you listed that you help with, but Abiodun is wondering if you help with EB2 NIW application for F1 students who are on OPT.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Now, we will not commit to representing you and taking your case as a client. So the first step for EB1, 2 to 5 visas is establishing eligibility. So if you come to the centers, our lawyers will speak with you to let you know if you're eligible to proceed on that. We can help review your application and give you feedback, if you need one. And if you want to work with our lawyers to represent you, we're able to do so. Sometimes we And this is something I think everyone should be taking advantage of, and folks may not know. Um, if you go to Google and find who is my congressional rep, and it's going to ask you for your zip code. And if you put your zip code, it's going to let you know who are your congressman or congress member. Go to their website and go to constitutional, no, it's not constitutional, constituency services. Part of that includes immigration support, and they may be able to support your application for any type of immigration speaking. In some cases, they may be able to provide you support letters. And you can also take it to the state level, and you can ask your council member in your state that you are not a citizen, you're a resident of that state, and you can request that to support your application. If you fill out your application and you want us to review it at the center, we're able to do so for you at no charge.
All right, thank you so much. So Adejumo Quadri is asking, he's saying that he's glad to hear about this, but what if his school does not allow this? Do you think there can be any instance where the school would say, no, we don't want international students working, it may affect your education or whatever? He's
Mm.
asking, what should he do if that should be the case?
I think in that case, you need a lawyer um, because you're eligible to, for this benefit under law. The only
Okay.
thing that comes to mind is some schools have restriction for international student visa sponsorships, and they don't. Their admission is not. They don't do the. It's been a while. The DS-19 something form. Um, they don't issue that for international student. But if you're in the United States on any status, they kind of neutral and look away and still allow you to come to campus. I can see how such a school may not be interested or able to sponsor you. But if you go through a lawyer, as I mentioned, even the typical employment authorization form has the category for economic hardship, and you just have to provide supporting documents as an international student. So you should be able to go through that if your school is not supporting that.
Okay. And if they need a lawyer, they can contact your office if the school is saying no.
They can always contact the Nigerian Center for any immigration and speak to our lawyers. You can always call the lawyer to speak to a lawyer, and the lawyer will tell you what to tell the school. It doesn't mean representation. We call that limited representation or screening. We do that for everyone. You don't need a contract to do that. Yes, you can contact the center.
So I feel like you've answered this, but Sam is wondering if he can do this as a junior in school.
Yes, you can. I believe that is your second year.
No, third
Um,
year.
is
A
that the third year?
third year
Oh,
is junior.
yes. So the limitation is as long as you're more than a year. Subsequent years, yes, you are. Yes,
Yeah,
you
so
can.
as a junior, they can do it for the rest of their remaining time in college, so they can still work the remaining 2 years if they just became a junior, or the remaining 1 year if they just have their senior year left. So Sam is also asking, in terms of proving the financial difficulty, what financial evidence can be used to show the decline in the Nigerian monetary economy? And I know you've already researched it for them, but what can they also bring on their own?
Usually, I would just say and a good DSO, an international student office would help you with that. Just the current at the date of your application, the current exchange rate to the dollar, vis-a-vis the dollar rate when you applied for admission. Because your tuition is an investment decision for your sponsors. They made a calculated financial projection based on the current rate of exchange rate. So that contrast is a very good supporting document that you can print online and just let them know this is the current financial situation with Nigeria. And that is just something you can get online. in addition to like the country conditions updates that we have. Good also website to go to. They don't always say financial. Those ones talk more about human rights, which State Department has a country condition report on Nigeria. Amnesty International has one um, that would help. But just that contrast with when your admission was issued, vis-a-vis when you're applying for that benefit.
Awesome. So we're rounding up, but um, Mide is asking if they have any other immigration issues. Do they just send an email? Please, why just send an email for more immigration information?
Oh, I can respond to that, Mide. So on our website there is programs and go to immigration, and it has frequently asked questions about several immigration questions. Um, Now, if you are in the DMV area, every Thursdays you can walk into the clinic. Our address is online. If you're not in the DMV area, on that page, nigeriancenter.org/immigration, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's an intake form that you can fill out, and you can state the nature of help you need with your immigration case, and you can make payment with the $55. Then a lawyer will call you, will follow up with you to schedule your appointment. Um, I also want to mention that we do have a YouTube page that has a series of Know Your Right workshops that we have done in virtually all these immigration categories, from asylum to the juvenile visas. In fact, we recently concluded a workshop on this. I'll try to put the link here. It's with two universities, Wayne University and Texas M&E University, forgot the name. An international student from Howard and our immigration attorney actually went through the entire process, pull up all the forms, and show you how to fill out all the forms. I'll try to put the link here. If your case is not student related, go to our YouTube page. There are several Know Your Right workshops that we've done that may be of resource to you.
Okay. So Abiodun is asking one more time, does the 1 year wait restart when enrolled in a second program? Or like
This,
maybe they are done with their bachelor's, they are starting their master's, or
or you have to be in active F1 status. If you completed your education, there's no point. The whole idea is to apply so you can pay for your tuition. Um,
so
I see the connection. So I see the
so
connection.
if they're done, I think if you get this, just keep renewing it every year so long as you have your F1 status. Even if you're doing your well, if you're doing OPT, then you don't need it. But I think you just keep renewing it. But if you now start a master's program after the bachelor's program, maybe that is what he's referring to. Do they now need to wait for another year, or they can just renew the one they've had since they are still in F1 status?
Um, I would start with your student office. But I know typically once you have the first one, you can renew it for 3 years. So if you change sponsor like your F1 institution in the process, as long as you have an active work authorization, it's active if it's not suspended. So I think it depends on where you are at the point of application, because that institution have to provide you supporting document. But can it cross over should you switch in that process? I believe so. I believe so.
Okay, awesome. Someone just joined and they were asking for your email. His email address is info@nigeriancenter.org. Okay, real quick. This person has a concern. Naya is saying, do you think that this kind of application may make it more difficult for the US Embassy to grant future F1 student visas? Or do you think it could limit the number of visas they would give out once they know that Nigerian students are able to work legally in America?
That is a fantastic question and is a well researched. I give it to you, Ananya. It's a very well researched question. The truth is yes. The truth of that is yes. And some organization they did not support our advocacy based on that reasons. But our mandate is for those who are currently in the United States to provide them all the resources they need. Uh, the law exists for a reason. It's a pathway that exists by the United States laws that other countries take advantage of. Um, but if they now see increasing the SSR, would that affect student visa issuance? I would say yes. I would say yes. And it's a tough decision we have to make at the center. Should we stop this advocacy because of those who may be coming next? And we chose to support those who currently have the status. We thought that is within our control. And I should also mention that this resource is not always available. It's a fairly new thing. A lot of students said that they wish they had this opportunity where they were international student. So why would we want to deny the opportunity if it currently exists? So we had to make that tough call. And last thing I want to say is Nigeria has a perception issue, not just among individuals, but within governments as well. We're not seeing a lot of success rates. Now, there's a lot of success rate with this. It's about 90%. But when it comes to the requesting fee waiver, USCIS typically don't grant Nigerians when we request that we cannot afford to pay for an immigration application. And if they deny your fee waiver, they'll automatically deny your application. Um, I don't know why, they just don't. But other nationals will go through identity conditions. If you take TPS, for example, some people question that why should Cameroon have TPS when Boko Haram originated from Nigeria? That is above my pay grade. Um, but so I would cautiously advise requesting fee waiver for this particular benefit. If you want to fundraise to pay for that fee, I would say do so. But if that is all the option you have, you should still go ahead and request for fee waivers. So now here the answer is yes. And an additional response that no one asks is the fee waiver. I cautiously recommend fee waiver. Please pay USCIS the application fee so you can get what you need from them.
So I googled it. It says if you file online, it's $479. If you file paper filing, it's $520. And then there's biometrics. I mean, if you have other figures, let me know. But altogether, it looks like $750.
That's definitely right. So the fee you listed for the in
Yeah,
person,
if biometrics are required, there's an
usually
additional
they're not.
$85.
Yeah, usually
Okay,
they're
so
not.
you may not need biometrics, but if you can pay this money, please pay it. It would increase your chances. You're not paying it to Mr. Gwinga or the Nigerian Center. You are paying it to the USCIS. If you can pay it because, like he said, sometimes when people say they cannot pay it, they reject them and they reject their application. Like they don't believe them, and so they just disapprove their application. So, do you want to say more about that?
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay, so if you can afford to pay the money to USCIS, please pay the money to USCIS. Okay, I said that we were rounding up, but I keep saying questions. Initially, I was going to allow people to call in, but it's better that we're just reading the questions. We're able to move faster. So this person said that his wife is studying computer information and has been on for a year plus. She changed from a visiting visa to student visa. Can she get the EB2? Can she apply for the EB2, I guess?
You can go from F1 to EB2. Um, EB1 or EB2. That's yes, that is possible. That is
Okay.
possible. The issue with that though is being able to establish eligibility if you're still a student. But I know students would have successfully gotten the EB1 or EB2 based on their previous work history. And some students have heavy research component to what they do that have real market application that they can demonstrate that as well. Yes, that is possible. That is really possible. So reach out to the Nigerian Center, speak to a lawyer about that, but that is absolutely possible.
Any idea how long the process may take once they submit their application to USCIS?
Uh, I think I don't want you to quote me for this. Um, I think it's about the standard application for USCIS in general. I would say 3 months to 6 months, just in general, for you to hear back from USCIS. Um, so I think it's within 3 to 6 months. I think so, but don't quote me on that.
So if they're yet to complete their 1 year, but it will be completed in that 3 months, can they put it
And
in maybe at nine
well,
months?
they can
Or
also request for an expedited uh, application
they can
approval
also what?
process.
Oh, expedited. But usually they may need to pay more to expedite their application.
Yeah, now yes and no. So you can expedite. There's the part of the condition to expedite your application
Oh,
in
yeah.
general is economic hardship.
Economic hardship.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if this is going to have so oh, okay, I have a point on that. If this is going to have an impact on the timeline, I think a good application will state that you want this process to be expedited.
Okay. Elfrida wants to know if you have any resources for college students who are on asylum.
So those who have approved asylum cases qualify for FASA, for federal student aid. It,
Ah,
it is not just for American citizen and green card holders, including those with approved, not pending applications, but approved applications. I also believe pending application qualify for in-state tuition in most states. Um, and usually, with those with asylum already have work authorizations that they get, so they won't even need this.
okay, awesome. Sorry, I'm just thinking about what you said about them being able to apply for FAFSA. That's just wonderful. Okay, so this person has a really good question. He said that his brother got scholarship, but they denied him visa. Do you have any advice or recommendation? So this person is not in the US yet. They got admission, they got scholarship, but the embassy said no visa, which means they can't come. Do you have any? Does your organization help with this, or you only focus on those who are already here?
We focus on those who are already here, but I won't stop them to go to submit intake form and speak to a lawyer about this. Usually, there's very less control or influence we have from this part of the world to whatever happened to the Nigerian embassy. They just have the authority of their own. Um, and sometimes you're able to review the application packet with a lawyer to see what may be wrong, just to overall strengthen your application. But you can reach out to the Nigerian Center to speak to a lawyer about that.
You can also apply again. I applied for 3 good years before I was granted a student visa twice every year. So
Wow.
in the fall and in the spring, yeah, because 9/11 had just happened. And so it was just, they made it really tough for people to come to the US at the time. Anyways, so this is a shout out from a former colleague of yours, Mr. Latif Adedayo. He's watching you and he just wants you to know that you are doing a really good job. So thank you, Mr. Latif. Say something to Mr. Latif, you know.
Up school. Yeah, it's responding back in spirit. Yeah, it makes sense. Up
All
school,
right.
Mr. Latif. Yeah.
All right. So this person says that they manage an organization called African Embassy Global Idea and Solutions in Chicago, and it's been empowered. Oh, thank you. They said they've been following me. Thank you so much. But I'm guessing that you have inspired them to, do more of what you're doing. So the people in Chicago will be paying attention to Mr. Larry more. They will be Googling African Embassy Global Idea and Solutions right now. So thank you for doing that in Chicago. Um, this person is wondering if there is any organization who does this for Nigerians, because they know that Indians do this for themselves, and now they got to know about Mr. Benga doing this in Washington, D.C. So thank you so much, Mr. Benga. And there has just been a lot of people saying thank you, thank you, thank you so much. This person, real quick, is wondering if they can go from visiting visa to EB1, EB2.
Um, Again, I would say speak to a lawyer, but in principle, the answer is yes. The challenge usually those with B1 and B2 visa usually would have with EB1 visa is you have to be in good stand, you have to be in status when you apply for EB1, EB2. And usually that 6 months they give you at the point of entry um, may not be enough for you to apply and receive the response. So even where they may approve it, you're already out of status, and now you're not eligible to transfer, to adjust status to get a green card, even though you have an approved 140. So definitely want to speak to a lawyer about that.
Okay, so this person came late. They're doing their PhD program, and they want to work. So I would suggest that you rewind this video, and that also the next person's question. Is this session recorded? Yes, it is, and you can watch it on my YouTube channel. The title on YouTube is Work Authorization for International Students in the US. So you can watch it. The PhD students can also watch it. So that answers those questions. Now, in the absence of other questions, thank you, Mide. I appreciate it. Thank you, Hype. I appreciate it. I think more importantly, let's put down his email address as a follow up. Don't just watch this. If you have any questions whatsoever, email his office. It doesn't mean that he will be the one to respond directly, but this is the email address to the Nigerian Center. And if you email them, don't put it off. Email them so that they can get back to you on your particular case and whatever it is that you need to do. So in the absence of more questions, I'm going to ask if you have anything else that you would like to say. And real quick, Tammy is on a religious dependent visa, but he or she is also in school. They want to know if there are scholarships available. I'll let you speak about this.
Yeah. So thank you, Timmy. We don't give scholarship opportunities at the Nigerian Center. We help with the legal process for you to get what you need. So that is why we're doing this particular informational session to get work authorization. But the very first place to go is to go to your student um, campus, international student, student aid, and see what opportunities exist on campus, exhaust all opportunities there. Um, the last thing I would like to say is what we see at the center is when folks come to the concept of our center is called a welcoming center. And when people come to the United States, particularly with their immigration status, sometimes they wait for too long before they reach out for help. There is no shame.
I'm not sure. Okay, now we can hear you. We suddenly
Okay.
couldn't hear you well.
So I was saying that I wanted to mention that the concept of our center is called a welcoming center. And what we realize is when folks come to the United States, particularly from Nigeria, they wait too late before they get professional help. They may speak to their pastors, cousins, in laws, and all of that, and
But
people
not to the
tell them,
lawyer.
you know, you can now come to the center and speak to a licensed attorney at no cost to you. It doesn't necessarily means that you want to start the process right and there. They can analyze your case, let you know what options you have, and you know the resources that you can plan toward. So you can always come to the center. If you have, I plan to stay, am I eligible to stay back? What options do I have? Come speak to a lawyer about that. Please follow us on social media. Um, if you're not, we have an active newsletter on our website. Once you go there, scroll to the bottom of the page and sign up. Our social media, we are active on all platforms. Nigerian Center. Please follow us to get updates to what we have. Lastly, I must mention, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we have a second meeting with the administration this month. Um, so, prayer warriors, so we're meeting again with the administration to have the review for the designation for Nigeria. When that happens, it's going to automatically give everyone's the status, and you don't have to apply individually. Automatically, you have that benefit. We will put out a press statement. Uh, the meeting is happening November 19th, and it's going to be with USCIS, DHS, the Department of the White House for Nigeria. Obviously, it's after election based on the administration
Um,
power. So these are some of the things we're navigating. So
mhm.
that's the updates that I have about that.
And what he's talking about is the TPS, the Temporary Protected Status petition that they have filed with USCIS. They're having a meeting with the US Immigration Department on the 19th. If the USCIS grants Nigerians TPS, Temporary Protected Status, then you don't have to prove, international students, you don't have to prove that there is economic hardship. You would automatically be able to get the work authorization and be able to work off campus. So go and pray that the USCIS will grant Nigeria TPS. That would be awesome. So, but if they do grant Nigeria the TPS status, is it only international students that would benefit, or anybody here from Nigeria, even if
Oh,
they have, if anybody here from Nigeria that don't have a green card,
Oh,
is
that's
it?
a great question. So we're gonna call it in. So when they approve that, what is gonna happen is every Nigerian in this United States of America, regardless of your immigration status, as long as you don't have any felony convictions, even if you've been out of status for 10 years, you will now apply for TPS. You now get to eligible because what happens is once you're out of status, except you're married to a US citizen, you are no longer eligible to adjust and get green card. So TPS removes that barrier. You are now able to apply and get full work authorization, and that includes student as well. Every Nigerian will be able to apply and get work authorization. If you have active removal proceedings, so you have to show up at an immigration court because you're on deportation, it suspends that process. If you're in incarceration because you are incarcerated by ICE and you are being scheduled to be deported, we're able to get you out of detention and you don't have to go back to Nigeria again. Because what that means is the United States is deeming Nigeria not the best place to deport Nigeria back into at this particular moment. And that also would affect international students. You don't actually need SSR because at that point you now have full work authorization as a TPS holder. Um, TPS is usually for 18 months, but historically it goes auto renewal. South American countries that have had TPS, they've had it for 20 years. So once it's approved, it just go on auto renewal, except the new administration comes. And we haven't yet seen that with both parties. They cancel TPS. They do campaign about it, but we have actually not seen anyone cancel that. So that would be the implication for Nigerians when we have TPS designation. And
So,
non-Nigerians, I'm sorry, like Cameroon, you have that now. So please go take advantage of it.
so it would give them work authorization, but what about their status? If someone is out of status, can it give them a leverage to apply for a different status without having to marry an American citizen?
That's exactly what TPS is. So even when you are out of status, it removes that condition you are now able to get work authorization and so you have a TPS status. That is now your new status.
And then they can have a path to walk towards citizenship or to
Um,
work towards becoming a resident.
it's a pathway.
Okay.
It's a pathway. There's limitations to temporary protected status, as the name implies, is a temporary measure. So TPS of itself does not graduate into green card. But what it does, it keeps you in status in perpetuity of the lifetime of that TPS designation. So usually there are countries who've had TPS for 30 years, right? So for all of that 20 years, then status. But you cannot say because I now have X number of residency, I can now get a green card. It doesn't work that way. But you now have status. So what folks have done, keep in mind, back to the question with B1, B2, and EB1 to 5 visas, the limitation of them getting out of status, our community is already well educated and professional. It's just those barriers. You can now go apply for EB1 to 5, and you can now explore other pathways you could not explore before because you are out of status. This puts you back into status.
Nice. And this person is testifying from Namibia. Yes, there are lawyers. My niece got a work permit in US as an international student from Namibia. It is possible. So if you are from Nigeria, take advantage of this as well. This person's niece took advantage of it from Namibia. Once you've been in the US for a year as a student, then you can take advantage of it. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga. This has been very informative, very educative, and I'm glad that you made time for us today. Guys, let's give him a shout out. Find him on what's your personal handle if someone wants to reach out to you personally, just to give you a shout out to thank you for
Okay.
this info session.
Um, okay. On Instagram at Benga underscore IM,
Can you write
ANAIM.
it? Can you write it where you wrote the NigerianCenter.org?
Okay.
See, people are thanking you. Mayaki Victor
I'll
says,
post
thank
it
you very
there.
much. Um, Steven is giving you a shout out. And Mayaki is praying that your meeting will be successful
Yes, yes, yes,
with
yes,
the
yes,
UNCIS.
yes. Um,
Elfrida is thanking me. Thank you, Miss Elfrida, for tuning in and for watching. And she's a fan of our hair product. Thank you. And Timothy is also saying the meeting would be great, that they are praying. So people are praying now. They are like, Father. My YouTube channel, Naya, is youtube.com/Adiola Fayem. So that's my YouTube channel. Okay, did you write? This is his handle. You need to put Earth in front of it. So at Benga underscore I am. So you can find him there. You can, give him a shout out. You can reach out to him. All right. Thank you so much to everybody that joined us today. This has been fun. International students, no more excuse. At least try, submit your application. The the worst thing that could happen is they would say no, but what if they say yes? Just think about that opportunity. Again, when I was an international student, this was not allowed, and it made life really difficult, really, really difficult. So please take advantage of this. A lot of countries are already taking advantage of it. And then after the 19th of this month, we will be able to update everyone whether or not the USCIS is granting Nigeria this temporary protected status, which we are hoping that they would, because it would just make life a lot easier for Nigerians in America who are yet to have a green card. So one more time, thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga and the Nigerian Center in DC. Their website is nigeriancenter.org and their email address is info@nigeriancenter.org. So write them. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good weekend. Mr. Gbenga, bye bye.